It's v.h.s.x. What do you mean?
Alright everybody, welcome back to a brand new video. I wanted to talk about the clown changes today. Clown changes were ultimately a mistake, in my opinion. Clown used to be this character who seemed so simple on the surface, with a deep amount of depth that players like Hindered have shown us that there's a lot more than what it seems. He showed us that Clown was capable of more. He was capable of actually, despite being considered a low tier, completely able to hold their own in the comp scene, to be able to show a level of depth like no other character within the low tiers can possibly fathom. Much more capable than we expected. Unfortunately, the majority of Clown players were more than likely did not practice any of what the Clown was capable of, leading to pink bottles being the only one used between the two. Behavior's main goal was to try and get people to use yellow bottles instead. As a result, the yellows seemed to be the superior choice, as the Hindered was slightly nerfed down to the 14% and a reduced duration. But the yellows also got increased the same amount of Haste. This only leads to players as dropping a yellow at their feet for 15% haste, or even 20% paired with rapid brutality, which does not accomplish what behavior's goal was. I find it interesting. Clown is probably one of the most difficult characters to balance out for behavior. This Clown's kit is simple, and yet very complex when using the power in all of its aspects. If Hindered was able to write a 180-page guide, which actually raised to 200 pages, to even have a guide to this scale goes to show that the character was much more than it really seemed. To be able to even think that there's ways to play characters even deeper than they really are. I mean, we can even look at a character like Freddy that I've spoken about in a guide and spoken about previously, and I even played Freddy very much like Clown. Understanding snare placement, understanding hindered duration, spacing, understanding rotations. And that was my bread and butter when playing Freddy. And on top of the ability to actually use those dream palettes, really added a level of depth that I still haven't even learned when combining both in the same play. But I understand that the vast majority will always go to the path of least resistance. And unfortunately for Clown, and unfortunately for Freddy, they both suffer that same fate where they both end up falling into that pool of mediocrity and mind-numbing gameplay. I think that these changes have removed his skill expression, which was one of the things I respected about the character. One of the reasons I hesitated to play the character in the past is I viewed Clown as being capable of doing so much more than I was capable of actually initiating. Similar to Singularity. removing that aspect of Clown has been a massive disappointment for me as a killer main, or killer enjoyer, as I'm going to call it. And I never was the greatest Clown player, but I certainly respected Aranat and his ability to make Clown essentially look way stronger than he really was. He's considered a low tier in every sense of the word, and yet now he's here. It's as if you don't even need to use your pinks anymore. You just put on haste stacking. And I've spoken about it on the stream before, and I'm a bit disappointed. A low tier getting a buff is something that ultimately is something we all as killer players would want. We want to see our low tiers getting some changes, getting some buffs. But a character like Clown is a little bit too complex, I'm assuming. I don't know. How would I balance out Clown? I mean, they did adjust some of the add-ons. Clown, I mean, they could have easily adjusted the add-ons if they had an issue with them. I mean, even Cigar Box is gone. It only activates within 6 meters of a survivor. The flask of bleach has been reduced by a couple percentages. And honestly, it's just a shame. I may not have been a Clown player, but it's a damn shame that, that DBD kind of heads into this direction where skill expression is just non-existent. Everything is just sort of handed to you in a lot of ways. And that applies to both sides, I guess, at this point. I think there has been a lot of criticisms thrown the survivors' way, I would say, because of the simplicity, because of how much they are given for a massive lack of input. And now we're seeing the killer equivalent of that idea, and it's kind of disappointing, to say the least. I just viewed the character, I guess, a little bit better than this. I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it. But I did appreciate and had a deep respect for the players that put in the hours, and now anyone can do it. It's overtuned, and that's mainly my thoughts, I guess. Let me know what you guys think in the in that comment section. What do you think of New Clown? Is he overtuned? How would you change him? Did you ever play Clown? I don't know. He kind of falls flat in my opinion. But that being said, check out the description and ways to support the channel. Follow on Twitch to watch me play Killer live. I'll see you guys in the next video.